What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the third installment of the ABCs, the TPBs, where we give you the 1, 2, 3s.
Where are you going with that?
I don't even know. No. That's as far as I got.
All right.
I was trying to think of like something else that rhymes.
Right.
But I had nothing. I'm a
That's
terrible freestyler.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I'm the same way. So.
People used to do it on the bus, like going to and from school or whatever.
Don't you just envy those people? Like, man,
it's an art form. There is an art form to freestyle.
It is.
I remember one of my ex-girlfriends, she's from the Bronx. That's the birthplace of hip-hop. And she was like, oh, no, I'm terrible at all things rapping. And she said there's one time on the school bus where everything just fell into place. And she went off for like a good 2-3 minutes, she said. And it was like her shining moment of glory.
Very nice.
At that time, all her 20-some-odd years. I'm great with the written rap, but I'm terrible freestyle. That's not what we're here to talk about.
From what I hear, though, I know we're not here to talk about it. We have time.
Yeah.
But that's what I hear, though. Is like it's not so much. I mean, it is 80% of that skill, but it is. I'm throwing out random numbers. No, it is a good part of just being able to think quickly on your feet.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of the whole going to the lab. Go ahead and finish it off. Okay. This episode of the ABCs of TVBs is brought to you by Kraken Spiced Rum. Kraken. You may pronounce it Kraken, but you would be wrong.
I'm pretty sure that's actually their slogan.
Right. But no, so the whole being in the lab, actually writing out a lot of these different rhymes, these different permutations, I guess you could say, so that, and kind of, not necessarily memorizing them, but becoming so familiar with them that when you are presented with a moment where, hey, I can Mad Libs this thing in here, you stick it in there because you've done the work at home.
Yeah. You mean just like you might be going along and you're like, oh, this is the perfect time to slide these 4 bars into something I've already written. You slide in those 4 bars, and that 4 bars kind of gives you time to stall time to slide back into a freestyle.
Yeah, it says no less impressive. I mean, it's still impressive. I'm just saying there is a method to that madness.
There is a method to that madness. Man, I love rap. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about comic books.
Comic books.
This is the C's episode. The C's. We're starting off this first half of the show with my pick. This is your boy Seed, by the way. We're starting this pick with Image's Copperhead. Written by Jay Faerber. Art by, what's Godlewski's first name? I think it's Steven. I might be completely wrong on it. Is it Scott?
It's on the first page. Scott.
There it is, Scott Godlewski. Colorist, Godlewski. Colorist, Ron Riley. Thomas Maurer is the letterer. And there's some, and it was co-created by both Faerber and Scott Godlewski. So both the writer and the artist, they brought this joint together to life. Yeah,
I kind of like those projects when the writers and the artists have collaborated to create the thing. It's not just like a foreign IP that someone else has kicked around. It's actually something that 2 people have. They just been sitting around, maybe drinking in the bar, and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this, man?" And then they're like, "Yeah, let's do this." And because one's a writer and one's an artist, they can make that actually happen. It's like he's the rapper, I'm the DJ.
Yeah.
French
Prince, same thing happened to me and a buddy of mine a couple weeks ago. We were at the bar on a Friday night. Nothing else was going on, and he was like, "Man, I got this idea for a comic book." And I was like, lay it on me. And his idea is batshit insanity. And he wants me to help him write it, but I just don't have any time in my life to do that. But man, his idea is just fucking nuts. I hope he gets it done.
Is he looking for a writer? I am a writer, sir.
He might be. He's looking because he's never written a comic book before. So he's like, I'm not sure how to, format things and how to pace things out.
Please introduce me to this gentleman. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm working on 2 books right now. The artist on the second book is kind of slow going, but yeah, I have room in my schedule for writing.
As a person with a slow going artist, I know exactly what you mean. Pineville issue 2 in year 2025.
Edit this out. Edit this part out now.
Anyway, we're here to talk about Copperhead.
Yeah, man. Copperhead.
Jay Faerber, Scott Godlewski.
Yes, lay it on us, man. What's the whole deal with? What's the setup?
The setup is yet another, and it is many of these out there in the world, sci-fi westerns, and it's kind of like a subgenre that's taken hold. I mean, Firefly is exactly what that was, right?
Yep.
It is sci-fi, and that's kind of what space is. Space has now become the new translation for one of 2 things: either westerns or something naval. And Star Trek took the naval route, right? Like these are the oceans to be explored. Whereas a lot of people have taken space to be the wild, wild west of things. And this goes the wild, wild west route. So this particular book, Copperhead, is about Clara, who is the sheriff of one of these backwoods western planets called Copperhead. And the meaning, the title Copperhead was a double entendre.
A double entendre.
A double entendre. Which I interviewed Jay Farber for an episode of Paprika. And
you network bastard.
And I brought this up, and he told me other people have brought it up too, and he didn't intentionally do it. But she is a redhead, which kind of makes her a copperhead. But that was completely unintentional, and sometimes life is serendipitous that way.
Fair enough.
So the whole,
and also she's venomous. She has bite.
I think that's stretching things out a bit.
Well, I mean, she does.
She's got some spunk to her.
She has some spunk. She is.
Yeah.
She is on this job. I mean, as you read, you find out she's on this job because she really just. And I can't even say like she was headstrong. She did something, and they couldn't prove that she didn't do it, but she most likely did, and then she just decided to leave.
Yeah, let me get out while the getting's good.
Exactly.
Exit stage left.
Before internal affairs gets involved.
So it shows her coming into Copperhead. It's a mining colony, is what mining town, I guess, is what this city on this planet is. I don't assume the entire planet is what it is, but the city on this planet is a mining town. I think if they mined copper, that would be way too on the nose. I don't think they actually say what they mine. Yeah. But and then she knows just her first adventures on the job is what Volume 1 is all about. And there's a little bit of mystery in here, and there's definitely some action up in there. Published by Image Comics, and one thing, getting back to her being, spunky or whatever, one thing that Image does, is they create some badass females.
They do.
The Image publishes a lot of comics and badass females, and of them all, she might be like number 1 or 2 for me. Clara puts in work.
Why would you say that she is a good, well written character in this series?
She don't take no shit from nobody. But she is not without her faults, Sure. She's got her own hang-ups and whatnot. There was apparently a war that happened at some point. We don't know what the circumstances of this war is. And when I talked to Jay Farber, I asked him, will you ever explore what this war was? And he's like, yeah, maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Right.
So that's to be determined.
I do kind of like that whole, we just plop you down in the middle of it, and you just have to accept. This is how.
Yeah.
This
is what's going on.
It's kind of like what they did for like Mad Max Fury Road. They just put you down. We're not going to explain shit. You just got to pick up on it and keep going.
Exactly.
I love that.
I like the fact that they the war going on, and they created. What's the word? They engineered a whole group of people specifically to fight their war. Artificial people that they call arties, which I am gonna take a wild guess and assume is a derogatory term that they probably don't like.
Yeah.
But
they're called artificial humans, but it's been shortened to arties. Anytime you shorten something, it's kind of
and she definitely has a strong distaste for arties, which is I think one of her main hang-ups. Like she's cool, but she's
racist.
She's a little bit racist.
I will say this: the whole artificial humans bit, engineered for war, it reminds me exactly of the Exo Squad animated series. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I did not.
You need to watch that, sir. I'm going to get that to you. Animated series about just really quickly, war in space. Space pirates and then humans on Earth, and then they engineered Neo Sapiens. They call them Neo Sapiens, which they're also blue skinned, very similar to the.
Do they call them Neos?
Yeah,
they
call them Neos. Yeah, see, you know it. You already know it. And so they engineer these people to fight their wars for them, but also, mainly to terraform these planets that they can't survive on. So let's say they're bred to exist in like different climates, low oxygen, that kind of stuff. And so it happens as all these people who have been genetically engineered to do these things. They're essentially enslaved, and then they rise up and fight against the humans. And it's an incredible space opera. It's one of my top sci-fi animated series of all time.
I love a good space opera. We don't have enough of those, man. We're
gonna get you on
Dune and Robotech. Those are my number 2 space.
Exo Squad is gonna get in front of Robotech. Dune is. I know. You haven't had enough.
I have massive love for Robotech.
You can have massive love for Robotech. Have you watched Super Dimensional Fortress Macross?
I've not.
Well, that's where Robotech came from.
All right.
They went to the Super Dimensional Fortress Macross.
Yeah.
Edited it.
Yeah, they just cut a whole bunch
and then made Robotech out
of
that. So, but to actually go back to the comics.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why I like Claire's character, because they don't beat you over the head with the "Hey, I'm strong woman" trope, which we've seen a lot in a lot of different media. I mean, I'll go ahead and say, I'll just kind of harken back to Black Widow moment and say, hey, she's a strong woman, yeah, we know it, and like every moment they're beating you over the head with how tough she is. She's making these snappy comebacks and that kind of stuff. Claire doesn't do that. She gets down to business. She says, "This is what I'm going to do. You can be in line with it, or you can suffer the consequences." She's a true cop. She's black and white like that. Maybe that's why she has the whole artist thing. But anyway, she lays on the line and she gets it done. She doesn't stand around to throw it in your face. She doesn't rub it in your face. She's like, "Hey, here's my vagina. Take it. Here's what we're doing." Yeah. She's doing her job, and she's a decent human being.
She's a decent human being. Besides her arties hang up, she's a decent human being.
Exactly.
You gotta
and her overprotectiveness for her son, but I mean,
she's in a strange town. She didn't know the.
She's in a different world, man.
Yeah, she's in a different world. So I understand the overprotectiveness.
Who's your favorite character out of this?
Who Dr. Finnegas is that
you mean
dude. Boo? When you look at that dude, man, like these are some very fleshed out characters, and I think. It's made painfully obvious that he wanted to be sheriff. So he has his own goals and aspirations. He wants to advance his position in life.
He keeps getting passed over, though, man.
I do believe it was...
That affirmative action is not happening. Because, his group lost.
Yeah, his group lost. So he's part of the war, but we don't know who his war was against. Was it against humans?
Well, I'm thinking we can say that it was against humans because he was fighting the artificial humans. There's a flashback. There's a flashback,
yeah.
And like I said, they lost, and that's kind of they're not second class citizens because they're still at a rank above the artificial humans.
Yeah,
but it's still kind of a hey, you lost, and I really haven't seen any other people of his species in this book.
Yes, there is one panel. One at the very, very end.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's at the very, very end. There is a panel where there's a whole bunch of people standing around somewhere, and then one off planet.
Okay.
And one of those people ends up being. There it is, right there.
Okay. Well, there you go.
A prisoner.
He's a prisoner.
Whatever his race would be called.
Yeah. So that speaks a lot because it's like, for one, his group lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, where are the rest of you guys?
Yeah.
And since you're here, you're here, and you're also in a position of law bringing.
Yeah, definitely.
What is his what is his deal?
Yeah.
I mean, are there many others left? Are they mostly in prison? Have they left the planet? Is he like the last one there? Is he there for as some sort of symbol?
Yeah.
Is he trying to prove himself as something? There's a chase scene in this.
Was the flashbacks?
The flashback. Yeah. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Boo.
He's a incredibly interesting character.
He really is, man.
He's way far more interesting than the actual than Claire is.
Right. But still, that's just I think he was kind of meant to be, and I just like the way they've been exploring those characters. Anything about this book that you thought was too on the nose and too tropey?
Yes, there is two things that I find too tropey. I'm glad you stopped on this page. One of them is the doctor, the drunk doctor.
The drunk doctor. We always have the drunk. Yeah.
And the the quote unquote tycoon,
right?
The dude who's got the deep pockets,
the deep pockets. He's short. He's got the tan. He's rotund. He's just gross and disgusting. You expect him at any moment to say, "I declare, you must get me a mint julep."
And that's exactly what that. Yeah, like just look at that dude.
Right.
He just looks like a dick.
He's like a short Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
With an inverted Hitler stash.
He's a Colonel. I find those two people in particular a bit too tropey.
Yeah,
but they're also like staples of like the Western
it's the
world.
Western, the Western, and you got the doc who's like, he's the best doc there is, but you try to get him sober at least one day out of the week to do his job. But even still, I saw him do a triple heart bypass while drunk. While drunk, he was 3 sheets to the wind, But I mean, it works.
It works. Yeah.
It works.
Also, that speaking of that doctor, it happens in the background of the book, and I brought this up when I was talking to Jay Faber. You see the doc. You see him in like issue 3 or 4. Get with this chick. But if you look in the background, there's a couple of background shots where he's checking her out.
Oh,
like
really?
Before then, yeah.
Let me go with these pages.
It's something that's happening in the background with the doctor. I think it's with that chick.
Okay.
But it's like a whole story going on in the background that you never know about.
Really? I love that about artists, how they put those things in there. Like the writer may not have even mentioned anything about that or said anything in the script about it.
Yeah, the doctor's doing what he does.
This is the one, right?
Yeah, that's where it gets with there. I want to say it's before that is where you see
when in the not the club, the bar.
Yeah. So there's a couple of joints where you see him in the background and stuff. What were your thoughts on the Sewells, the slug-like family?
I mean, yeah, I understand they were necessary. They didn't do that much for me. I especially Claire's choice to say, "Hey, I just slugged it out with one of you guys earlier, and now I'm going to let you, babysit my kid."
Yeah.
You already know that she has the potential for murder, and she has just lost her children. You don't want to put that kind of. That's I wouldn't have made that.
You choice. Would not have made her your kid's babysitter.
I would not have made the murderous slug mom.
The 4-armed slug mom.
Yeah, I'm looking for this panel, man.
I gotta go back and find it, man.
That's where that's where they get the doctor first, but
I gotta go back and find it. There's something going on in the background with that doc. I don't know what it was.
Because this is where they
maybe it's afterwards. Maybe afterwards they have some background stuff.
Honey,
you're
a doctor.
Right. So what do you think about the art in this joint?
The art in this is solid, man. It really is. It really is good. It doesn't make me feel like they were really pulling punches. And I'll say this again.
Maybe in the next volume, there's something going on.
Maybe so. But I'll say this again. When you have a consistent writer and a consistent artist doing something, everything feels. It has that feeling of consistency, and that's a great thing. I like these just different story arcs, so we get a chance to know our legacy characters like the Flash and Batman and Wolverine and that kind of stuff. But and then you get a new artist on, a new writer to kind of give a different spin. But if you're telling a story like this that is self-contained, which typically I applaud Image on this. They plan those things out. They say, "Hey, we're going to do this run for a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
You have, it's kind of like the anime style. You have X amount of episodes to tell your story. Do it.
Yeah.
We'll give you the airtime. Put it out. We're not going to have this be a long running. We're going to try to resurrect this character, make it like an icon. Just tell your story.
Yeah.
Get it out there, and you guys are the ones to do it. When they do that, you don't have a lot of hands in the pot. They tell the story that they want to tell, and it's not necessarily raw, but it's true, and it's to the point of what the creators wanted it to be.
Right.
I'll put that.
Yeah, this is. I think this is another one of the joints. I just kind of a lot of my Image books. I just kind of people flip through, see what the art's looking like, because the art's what grabs me before anything else. I don't care how good the story is.
I'm the other way, man.
Yeah,
I gotta have the story.
If your story is great but your art is crap, and comics I would say is a mostly visual medium.
They're very visual medium,
I'm not gonna.
But I will say this. I'll give you a little thing about me. For me, for the majority of my comic book reading life, I say back in my early teens to now. I say to maybe 10 years ago. Teens to like 10 years ago, unless you know how old I am.
78.
I know, right? 79 here.
Oh.
When I read a comic, I would get through a comic in maybe 10 minutes.
Craziness. Absolute craziness.
I know, because I was reading what was going on, and I was making note of what was going on in the panel, in the kind of the broad sense.
Yeah.
But I would get through it. I'd be done. It wasn't until, I said maybe 10 years ago, that I really started appreciating more of the artwork.
Yeah.
Because I started noticing things that the artist would put into it, like smaller details, meaning, and would take on a different... it would take on an extra level.
Yeah, it goes a little bit deeper. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like walking through an art gallery. You don't just kind of stroll through and like, all right, 10 minutes, I'm done. You go and you let the art speak to you. You let yourself interpret the art.
Yeah, you don't go and just read the plaques, keep moving. You like to sit there.
Exactly.
It's like Sex Criminals. That whole series is art based, man. With all the jokes that Zdarsky puts in the background, you gotta read every little letter that's printed on every panel.
I mean, even with like a Squirrel Girl, I got through like issue 5 or 6 before I realized that the writer had been putting very small comments at the bottom of each page. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'll have to go back and read all these other ones now. I was like, what the hell? Why did I not notice this? And it's actually words, but I just, it didn't register with me. But yeah, I'm a stories guy. I gotta be hooked there.
Yeah, be hooked
if it looks beautiful, but the writing is shitty, I'm like, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This is a joint that Image comics, if you read them digitally, one thing that Image is great for, and I don't think the big two do it all that much, is you get to the end of the issue, whatever, and then they put ads for other comics. There's like a couple, like 3, 4 more swipes. And that's how I found out about this. And they're like, Copperhead, new joint coming out soon. And I was like, well, and it was like a one panel joint. And I was like, oh, well, this looks kind of interesting. So when that first issue came out, I was like, yeah, kind of dope.
Image does it right, man.
Image,
I would say that if you were going to ask me what's your favorite comic book distributor, I would say Image because they're not Marvel, they're not DC, so they're not that big, they're not that legacy. They've been around for a while.
25, 26 now.
They've been around for a while, but they also do things that are they're doing things better for storytelling. They're doing things better for visuals. They're doing things better for the writers and the artists. They're taking care of their guys that work for them. Yeah, and they put out great products.
I've said many times that Image is the best thing going in science fiction, whether that be books, movies, television, whatever. Image is the best thing for science fiction right now. It is definitely my favorite distributor. And shameless plug, last year was their 25th anniversary. I did a 25-minute podcast on the top 10 Image books that I think that are out and running right now. So go back and find that joint on the feed. And
I mean, you could go find it, but I'm sure C Delicious will put a link to that one in somewhere in the description.
Or I could just do that.
Yeah, it'll be easy. It'll be easy for you. Just scroll down and click on that link that I'm sure is going to be in there.
Now the pressure's on me to remember that.
Exactly.
So to wrap this bad boy up, man. Is this a go or no go? Would you be interested in reading Volume 2?
It's absolute go. Not only do I want to read Volume 2, I want to go and buy Volume 1 so I can add that to my collection. Okay. It means a lot when I actually read something, like say, especially if I got it from my buddy, so I got it for free. But when I see something that's really good, and I actually want to say, hey, you know what? Let me support these guys and show them that I don't know what their bottom line looks like. I don't know. It's been a couple years since they came out with this. I don't know if they actually see dime one from it. They actually get the royalties. I'm pretty confident that Image does better for royalties than Marvel or DC would for their guys. But I'm just saying, I have no idea how these creators are getting compensated from it. But I'm going to buy this book to support them. I might even follow them on like social media and be like, hey, I read your stuff. This is awesome. Thanks.
Boom. That's a ringing endorsement for Ninja Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? Go or no go? I own all 5 volumes, Dave. Right?
Yeah, I do own all the volumes that have come out so far.
How many volumes are out?
3 are out. Okay. So, got Luce get step away for a little bit for some reason or whatever.
Oh no!
And Drew Moss was the one that was doing the art for Copperhead Volume 2.
I can go with Drew. I can get with Drew because Drew and I have had some intimate encounters.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I pointed Drew out to Drew, because I knew the work he'd done, and he also did work for me. Oh. So Drew Moss, man, look up Drew Moss on social media and support what he does, because he's a good dude. Another person I interviewed for the podcast as well.
I'm sure these links will also be in the description.
Show notes full of links.
Show notes.
All right, I think that's gonna do it. You got any? Favorite panel.
Oh, favorite panel. Oh,
yes.
Okay. That's good. You got to tell me your favorite panel too.
So to give you time to flip through, I think yours is like towards the back right there. You should have 4 or 5. Uh-huh. For my favorite panel is strange enough, not an actual panel from the comics.
Really?
In the trade paperback, I'm not sure if they do this for digital, but in a physical trade paperback, they have what I'm gonna assume are the covers. Okay. For the issues.
All right.
Those are my favorite panels, man.
Really?
Those are some well done covers.
I do. That's one thing I can say about the digital, when they put the extra artwork in there. Yeah. That is great. Yeah. That is great. My favorite panel, and it reminds me of just how Western this stuff is. It actually is one panel, but you kind of have to have the other panels around it to really kind of take in what's going on. But you have one of the artificial humans who's been tracked down by Clara, and he says, "So, guess you got me." And she says, "Sure looks that way." And he says, "Now what?" She says, "Could just shoot you. No one would shed a tear over another dead Artie. But instead I'm bringing you in for questioning regarding the Sewell murders. You best drop your weapons." And he just, wordlessly, the next panel, just reaches into his bag. She has her weapon trained on him. The next panel, incredulously like, "Did you not hear what I just fucking said? Don't fucking move." And the next panel shows her kind of tightening on the trigger a little bit, slowly. And then in the next panel, he has his hand out with an item in it, and he says, "Weapons. You mean like this here concussion grenade?" And then the next panel he throws it here. It's beautiful, It's
yeah. That's also that Artie dude is also one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I don't even know. I've forgotten his name already. I mean, it's just usually for me it takes a while to get characters' names. Dude, when I first started watching the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, it took me like 10 episodes before I got their names down. And they were color-coded, man. That's how bad it was.
All right, I think that's gonna that all you got, sir?
That's all I got, man.
I think that's gonna do it for the Copperhead half of this show, man. Right. We're gonna do ourselves an audio break, and then we'll be right back to talk about
Chew.
Awesome.
Order, please. First you sink a nuclear submarine, and then you threaten us to make peace. Who gave you the right?
I am the born ruler of Atlantis.
A country we do not even recognize.
These are my final terms. Refuse them at your own risk.
But your demands are outrageous. They would compromise our entire world defense and economy.
Your problem, not mine.
Aquaman.
I offered them a chance for peace, and this is their answer.
Please, these things take time.
I've wasted too much time already.
Wait!
A real Prince Charming.
Alright, we're back, and we are starting fresh sharp with Chew from Image. Written by John Layman, drawn by Rob Guillory. Also created by those two. Another writer.
Oh, so it's both of them doing written and lettered by John Layman.
It's great, man. One thing I like about this series. Well, I'm gonna just kind of give you the nuts and bolts of it.
Give us the rundown.
It's really easy. You have a detective.
Word.
His name is Chew.
Word.
It is. Let me see here. What is the actual name?
Anthony.
Yeah, Tony Chew.
Yeah.
And he has the unique ability to taste any object and get a kind of psychic impression of it that shows like the history of it, that shows who interacted with it, what kind of the stories that go along with it. And so every time he tastes something, he gets that psychic impression. It's like a flood of it. It's kind of like Cyclops' optic blast. He can't turn it off.
Yeah.
So because of that, he usually just eats beets because he usually gets no psychic impression from that. But anything else, from chicken soup to
an apple,
or the finger of a corpse.
Yeah,
he can taste it and he can get that impression. That helps him solve cases. He's a detective, and that's his skill. So this book just centers around this guy and his talent, kind of just being pushed around through the ranks of these the police force, and then into kind of ushered into the FDA, the federal, the feds, the
Food and Drug
Administration. So, it's for this one. I found it. It hit all the technical notes for me. It had a great story. I looked at the artwork. The artwork was quirky. It reminded me of kind of Jonan Vasquez's stuff from like Invader Zim and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Very expressive. I love the story. What's kind of your take on it?
I was not a fan of Chew.
Really? Tell me why.
The art does it for me. Like, the art is it's like you said, it's weird and it's quirky, and it looks like a cartoon on page. But the story just wasn't there for me. I just at no point was I excited to pick this book up and read, or excited to turn the next page. You have the very tropey boss there. He's always angry for really no reason whatsoever.
No reason. Just give them shit.
Give them shit. Just give them shit.
Yeah.
Some of the ideas and the concepts are original. Like the whole idea of him being able to eat shit, and look at the history is very original, and the fact that
I think iZombie kind of borrowed that idea from this book, because I think this book predates that iZombie series. The fact that the Food and Drug Administration is pretty much the police force is weird. So this is a post avian flu world where they have outlawed. They've outlawed chicken?
Yeah, they've outlawed chicken.
That's not enough to make you want to shoot your brains out. I don't know what is.
Yeah, they outlawed chicken. I don't. Which I thought was an interesting concept, but I don't think I just couldn't rock with them.
The execution was just really.
Yeah, the execution wasn't there.
There was something about, I was trying to figure it out.
Good setup, that execution.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, technically everything was good there. I like the idea of the character. I like the story that they had set up for it. I like the artwork, because the artwork is very expressive. Like you said, I think you put it best when you said it was like a cartoon on the page. It was like watching these things in motion, because the artwork really conveys motion or an idea or a thought or animation very well.
Yeah.
But it's like the story just it doesn't propel itself forward. It doesn't make you want to continue reading it. I got halfway through this thing, and I was just like, don't really. This is kind of like a chore to read.
Yeah, it was kind of like a chore to read.
Yeah. And I was, and to be fair enough, I was like, you know what, maybe I'm feeling this way because I'm reading stuff on a deadline so we can talk about it on this podcast.
It's homework.
Yeah, it's homework.
Yeah.
But then you handed me Copperhead. I tore through that thing the first night. I was like, I love this. This is great. If it wasn't my friend's book, I would jizz all over this thing.
I appreciate that you not jizz all over my books.
You're welcome. Only for my best friends.
True. I feel sorry for your enemies. There's a. It feels partially episodic, but they kind of tie it all in together at the end. I thought the tie-in was a little bit sloppy.
Yeah.
Or this guy just happened to be this guy was investigating 2 issues back, and and all this sort of stuff.
It's very episodic, kind of children's cartoon almost. I mean, they're dealing with some very adult themes in this, so you wouldn't necessarily let a kid read this. Now, I did let my 10-year-old daughter read this, and she enjoyed it. She got through it. She didn't ask for volume 2, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, this is pretty cool. We're reviewing this for the podcast. I hadn't read it yet.
Yeah.
This will give me an excuse to read through it. And I didn't. I made it halfway, and I gave up.
You gave up, huh? You didn't finish all the way through.
I didn't finish all the way through. I know. I violated one of the aspirational truths of our podcast to actually go through the entire thing before judging it. I went halfway. I said, fuck that.
Well, I will tell you this as a bit of a spoiler.
Okay.
At the very end, so
you can spoil me, man, because I'm not reading volume 2. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me because I'm not either. So there's a kind of one of the big bads behind all this.
Okay.
And it's him.
I mean, they were setting it up from the beginning.
You think so?
He was very. I mean, he was very. Ease up, lad. Here's what we're gonna do. Now's not the time, lad.
Yeah.
I've got this super secret ninja fighting skill. He only gave very specific information at very specific times. You saw earlier when, like maybe in issue 2 or 3, when he had found the apartment where the person was holed up, but only the dog was left there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what ends up tipping him off at the end. Was that whole.
Well, I mean, we were shown that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you picked up on that.
I did not. I was just like, oh, it was a dude in an apartment.
No. Did you go back to it and look?
No.
Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go to that page.
All right.
It's before.
So yeah, this is the dude they're investigating, Evan Pepper.
All right. So
it's when he goes to Pepper's apartment, right?
He goes to the apartment, and he's like, oh, shame. This is gonna happen. He took a chunk out of the dog. He killed that fucking dog.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I thought that he killed the dog to take a chunk out of it to try to figure out what's going on with Pepper, but I didn't put anything nefarious behind that.
Yeah, I thought that he killed the dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it's too. I mean, I don't know. Well, you know, maybe. I mean, just looking at the dog here now, maybe the dog had been there for a while.
That's also a possibility.
But it had just the way it was conveyed. It's like the unfortunate creature was practically skin and bones. Poor thing indeed.
Yeah,
you know, it's just the way it was written. It felt nefarious.
Yeah, that's that. And there you go. I just flipped to my favorite panel. Did you get this far?
Yeah, I got that far. Yeah. Being thrown up on. I mean, I loved that ability that she had. I was more interested in her ability.
Yeah.
Than his.
As was I.
I'm like, how can you make someone outshine?
So good?
Yeah. Yeah, her ability, I forget what they have names for all this stuff, but her ability was to write so descriptively to make you feel like you're actually tasting what she's writing about.
Yeah,
and she had gotten kind of just fed up, kind of bored with the food world, and so she started writing about the most disgusting food that she had. And so people were picking up newspapers, reading her reviews, and throwing up in the street. You know, that was cool.
Yeah, and he was in love with her because he could get that taste of what she was writing about without him having to actually eat things and then have to deal with all the shit that comes with eating those things.
Very dependent kind of relationship. Attitude. Yeah. But you know,
I'm sure she'll come back somewhere in the subsequent volumes.
She might.
I guess.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, like I said, this the book is technically cool, and maybe down the line, the writing gets to the point where it kind of solidifies. Maybe it gets past this episodic, this afternoon cartoon, 30-minute episodic kind of wrap it up. Everyone's friends or whatever. Maybe it gets there to that point. But right now in this first volume, it hadn't pulled either of us in.
No, sure did not.
And you're an art guy. And you're like, hey, the art has me.
Yeah.
And you start reading, you're like,
the story's kind of whack, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, I'm all for, like, world building, taking time to kind of build up to stuff, but it just seemed like it just didn't have a true direction for a lot of it.
For me, it's like it had that episodic feeling, and I have completely turned against episodic television.
Really?
Like, I can't watch a show that's just like, in this episode, this happens. In this episode, this happens. I need a season that has you are marching towards a goal at this season.
So did you watch Star Trek Discovery or not?
I did.
What did you think?
I'm a huge fan of Star Trek Discovery.
Cool. I have not watched it yet. I plan. It's on my list.
It's not episodic. it is the whole season deals with one story.
Right.
Dopeness is the name of that story.
Dopeness.
But yeah, I think that's Copperhead is it tells. It is a beginning to end for the most part story.
I think some of the best stories are ones that you can read an issue in a chunk and say, hey, I've gotten a story out of this but there's still the groundwork for a larger arc within it.
Which is another reason why I want you to read Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, which is also now has been renamed to The Lost Light. But you'll get to it.
I'm pretty sure that you will have that. Is that your tea?
No, I didn't pick it up as my tea. I shared it to you as a friend. I said, hey friend.
That you did.
This is awesome. Let's just read this. Outside of all this other stuff, read this.
Just check this out. I thought you were saving it for your tea. Okay. All right then. Fair enough. So, any other thoughts you have on Chew there?
The only thought I have is that this is a no-go for me.
This is a no-go for you.
No-go for you as well.
I do believe it is also a no-go. I don't think I'll be going to a second volume of Chew.
I mean, like I said, I've heard great things about it. It perhaps got better. It may have. I'm just not feeling it right now.
I heard not too many comics that I've come across. I don't want to put a broad stroke on anything. Not too many comics I've come across have an Asian male as the lead.
As the lead. I can see them making a TV show out of this.
That's where I was leading. Now that he is no longer of use on The Walking Dead, I've heard the dude who plays Glenn has shown interest in doing a Chew TV series or a Chew movie.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can only hope that the TV series would be better executed, would borrow from whatever has been learned from Volume 2 onward, and put on the television. Because I think at this point the television show has to be better than the comic, and that's usually. I mean, I'm usually like oh the written, the drawn, it's the original. It's so much better than whatever they put on the TV. It's always some change, but no.
Nah, not on this one.
I think they can only improve.
Yeah, if there's a Chew show that maybe one day down the line pops up, I think I'll pretty much enjoy that more than I would the Chew comic.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure most people think about The Walking Dead too.
Yeah.
Anything else, sir?
That's it for me on Chew, man. I'm like.
We talked about favorite panel already, didn't we?
We talked about favorite panel. Did I?
I don't think you picked a favorite panel, did you?
Did I have a favorite panel?
Yeah, did you have a favorite panel? Well, what you managed to make it through.
Well, let me see here. From what I managed to make it through, I mean, you like the panel where the person had read the thing and he was in love and then someone else threw up on his face and it was like that perfect what's the word? What's the opposites? What's the word for opposites? Perfect
antithesis.
No, antithesis. Not. It's this Kraken is really helping kind of fire on all cylinders. It is juxtaposition.
Oh, okay.
Perfect juxtaposition for what was going on there. Yeah. I will say that, you know what? No. I will say that probably the panel that I like the most would probably be this one here. It's very just, it has nothing to do with anything. It's this one here. Where she was saying, "This, my lunch, sir? I thought I'd take my lunch at my desk while I reviewed these old case files. Your lunch? Yes, sir, boss. Beet salad. Nothing about the words. Fuck the words. It's all in the way that his superior's body language conveys. You know,
disdain.
His disdain. He's leaning over it. You know, in the previous panel we see that he has a gut, but when he leans over, you know, he's kind of tucked in. He's kind of, you know, and his tie is hanging. He has his nose upturned. Yeah. It's just very, very haughty, very, very hoity-toity, very, very judgy. And the shadow in his eyes. He's got his arms behind his back. He's got the vest. You know, is it the vest?
Yeah, it's vest.
Or the gun vest. It's the gun vest because he has the
holster. He's got the doctor's clutch.
Yeah, so he's like leaning over, and it looks great. It's just a great. It's a still panel, but it conveys motion, animation very well. I love the way the artwork is. And you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Shout out on this one to Rob Guillory.
Yeah,
for just drawing this stuff. I want to go and see what other stuff you've drawn. I'm gonna go ahead. I don't do this, but I'm gonna do it now.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna say John Layman. I don't know if you're working improved to volume 2 or onward, but this first volume did not do it for me. Go back, take a look at it, see, improve, do better. But I'm gonna go check out more of Rob Guillory stuff. not so much. I don't really feel that pull for John Layman.
Okay.
I usually don't put people on blast, as the youths say.
Yeah, you put John Layman's whole blast out there.
I mean, but sometimes things just have to be teachable moments. Sometimes you just need to tell someone, "Hey, this sucks." not just a hey. Yeah, you did your best, buddy. Here,
Hey,
maybe you can improve on this. Hey, I'm gonna tell you some good things, kind of get you. No, this one I'm just gonna tell you, John Layman. This one right here, it sucked. It sucked. It sucked to the point where I don't want to read any more of it, man. I don't want to make you feel bad. This is just how I feel. I'm not reading any more of the Chew. I heard so much. I mean, this is a long running series. It's still running. It's still going.
Still going.
I'm not reading any more of it. I just don't feel like. But Rob Gilder, I'm gonna check out more of your stuff.
All right.
Hopefully, John. Maybe I'll come across your stuff in the future, and I'll be like, "Hey, this is great. Who wrote this? John Layman," and just kind of fall back, in my chair. And then on that day, I'll send you a tweet, and I'll be like, "Good luck, good job, John. You made it.
John, you finally came up in the game."
You know what?
You've
been doing this for years, and finally you made a name for yourself.
It's not like the 10 volumes of Chew that are out there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he's gonna be like, David Cunningham, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this nobody?
David Cunningham of the ABCs and TPB.
Oh my goodness, now it means something, so yeah. Google me, John. Google me.
With that said,
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed that a bite of the title's been taken out there. I just noticed that. Yeah,
I noticed that before, but it's all right. It's good. It's indicative of the chewing.
Oh, okay. So there's a no-go on volume 2 for both of us.
I'm ready for the D's at this point. At this point, Dave wants the D.
So are we? Do we preview our night's joint? I can't remember if we did. This is what
I don't know if we did last time, but let's do it this time because we have both books here, so we might as well.
We might as well.
Yeah, you listeners get an extra treat.
Yeah, you guys. So while Dave is getting my joint out of his knapsack that he already put in there, Dave brought me a Valiant joint. This is the first time we're going to the Valiant universe. This is not the last.
You know what? We might have to give like kind of a Valiant primer. Or primer, as they asked it. It's supposed to be. I like primer better.
Definitely primer.
But it's British. It's right. They just invented the language. We improved it. But yeah, the first Valiant joint there.
Divinity, huh?
Divinity, yeah.
Divinity is the dopeness, by the way.
It is good.
And
then I've got another image title here, and this one is Descender. And I must say, it's by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's more Nguyen.
Win. Not Nguyen.
Not Nguyen. It's Nguyen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Nguyen.
Yeah. And for you heathens out there, it's Nguyen, but no, it's pronounced Nguyen.
We treat our Vietnamese listeners with respect.
Exactly, this respect they deserve. But yeah, I think we talked about this earlier. This finish on this cover.
Yeah, man. Image has that matte type cover, man.
It's great, man.
Some do, some don't.
It's gonna be hard not to jizz on this.
Well, you know what? If you do, I'll understand.
I sprayed it down with a top coat days. Just have at it. It wipes right off.
It goes right off.
It's
turn it upside down.
If nothing else, I just printed this off at work and glued it together and gave it to you. So it made you think it was a trade, but.
Yeah, I think you're gonna enjoy that, sir.
I think so too. I mean, just even from this. I mean, I typically don't judge a book by its cover. But this time I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I'm giving this an A+ right off the bat.
I'm
gonna turn the page and I'm just gonna start reading, and the score is gonna go wherever it goes.
Okay. All right then. And like I said, Divinity Matt Kent, who I do believe will be at Heroes Con this year. So I can finally get nothing signed because everything I own by Matt Kent is digital, not physical. Yeah, that's where I fucked up. Cool. So
what do we tell these people that have been listening to us? I mean, we've had we posted the first episode in the Paprika chat. It's on SoundCloud if you're hearing this now. Are we also on like a Google Play Music?
I do believe
iTunes.
We're definitely on iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to see what we can do about getting up on the Stitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe we're also on Google Play as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're making moves. Alicia listened to us. Alicia Gomez. Shout out
to Alicia
Gomez. She wasn't a huge fan of Autumn Lands.
Yeah.
She said she threw it in the donation pod that she was done reading it.
You know what? Thank you, Elisa, just for passing it on.
Yeah. Thanks for passing it on. Yeah. I mean, you hurt my feelings, but thanks for passing it along. But she was all about some authority, man. Yeah. She says she's gonna pick up the authority on her next round of comic orders, man.
Way cool.
So that's 1 point Dave, 0 point Seed.
Oh, we're taking points now.
Well, we all right, Alicia.
I think we should start taking points now.
All right. So if you're listening to this, Alicia, which I hope you are, we're gonna need you to score whichever your favorite book is, which means you got to read all 52 of these joints.
Read all the Alicia score.
So right now the Alicia score is Dave 1, Seed 0. Get back when you listen to the Bees, which was Batman vs Predator and Black Widow. Get back to us on which one you like more. You know what? So we can continue to score this shit.
You know, I will say, you know, Alicia, you're awesome. You're the first person that gave us feedback. I don't want to just give it to you. I want to give it to all of our listeners. Is it okay with you? Can we call it? Alicia, will you allow us to change this from the Alicia's score to the listener score?
The listener score.
Or if not, if you're like, hey, I really like my name being said on every podcast, we can call it the Alicia score, and we will just say that the Alicia score is the listener's choice, and every listener can weigh in on the Alicia score.
The Alicia score is the aggregate of all people. All right, then we're gonna officially call this the Alicia score.
There we go.
So you said keep it up, and I'll be listening in 2 weeks to the Bees, which we're gonna get posted to see if I can be persuaded to venture into DC Marvel territory, because yours is DC with the Batman.
That's right.
Mine was Marvel with the Black Widow. So we'll see.
We'll see how DC versus Marvel.
Yeah. Ooh. So I wonder how do we score this? Are we scoring it based off of she has to go out and buy and read both, or which one based off of what we talk about she would want to go out and read more? Because we can't put the onus on her pocketbook.
Okay, we can't do it because you know times is hard, man. We're in the Trump administration, so you never know what to.
Shit ain't cute.
Yeah, it's everything's popping off like every week to week, day to day.
Yeah.
I think we could probably go with both if she chooses. I think we should go first with what she feels
she would be more
to go read.
Okay.
And then if she goes to read them and says, "Hey, I put Daryl's pick in the donation pile again." I mean, we can, it's all right.
Okay, so here's how we're going to score this.
Daryl doesn't really have feelings. It's okay.
You're not wrong. So here's how we're going to score this.
All right.
A half point if she's like, I would like to read this over this.
Okay.
That's half point. Now, if she goes out and she reads both and she picks one another, that's a full point.
Okay. We're gonna have to get a graphic of. I mean, I can do this. I can a star rating system or something.
There you go.
Put your name and my name and some stars underneath it.
I like it.
Or a tick mark or something. Maybe I mean, you got horses and trash cans. We're gonna do something different. Maybe we'll have some new. We'll do some. I'll come up with something new. I'll send it your way. But yes, we'll have a graphic that we put up like with each episode. Like boom, here's what the Alicia's score.
Alicia Gomez, the Gomez graphic.
The Gomez graphic.
Boom.
Yeah. See, we're making waves.
Making waves. I think that's gonna do it for this episode, sir.
I think
for the C's.
This is a long ass episode, man. This.
Thanks for sticking with us if you're still with us.
This spiced rum, man, it really helps loosen the tongue.
It does. Maybe we need to start incorporating more alcohol into our shows.
I would not say no to that, good sir.
All right then. Well, I think that's gonna do it for the C's. We'll see you in 2 weeks with the D's, and until then, you guys take it easy.
Peace.